Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 6500. On this brisk December morning, we will be covering the Second Vatican Council, also known as Vatican II. Vatican II was the 21st Ecumenical Council of the Catholic Church.
The council was called by Pope John XXIII in October 1962. It was the second ever council to be held at St. Peter's Basilica.
It has just concluded this month, and it has modernized the Catholic Church in revolutionary ways. The council rediscovered that the Church is made up of all baptized people, and not just clergy.
The most surprising decision, perhaps, is Mass being held in the vernacular. It is no longer required that Mass be held in Latin. Lay people are now permitted to distribute communion, proclaim Scripture, and help prepare Catholics for receiving the sacraments.
Among other decisions, Pope Paul VI declared Mary as the Mother of the Catholic Church.
Finally, Protestants are no longer referred to as heretics, with the hope of leading to ecumenical unity.
Engaging in dialogue with non-Christian religions has, in fact, been a significant part of the Council.
Good afternoon. Today is July 20th, 1969, and it's a truly historic day. 4 days ago, the Apollo 11 team was launched into space at 9:30 a.m. at the Kennedy Space Center. Here's the live footage of the liftoff. The space quest has come just in time to fill the promise made by the late President Kennedy in 1960, that by the end of this decade, the United States would put a man on the moon. What? This is amazing. Breaking just now is the news that the Eagle lander has made its final descent onto the lunar surface.
Wait!
What?
Everything you have just heard is a lie. They are lying. It's a conspiracy theory. Everything was filmed on a special set in Hollywood, and it's just not true. It's impossible to get on the moon. Who are they kidding?
Get out of here.
God, get away!
I've got
oh my
this.
God, what are you doing? Stop it! I told you!
I apologize greatly to our viewers for that distraction, and I assure you that the three-man team of Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins has landed on the moon. We have just received word that the Apollo 11 team will be transmitting live from the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This is truly amazing. We have just heard the voice of the first man to set foot on the moon while he is there. Now, join us later this evening for a full report on the Apollo space program. And now, switching topics, we'll talk to Nina, our music specialist. Tell us, Nina, what is trending in the music world at the moment?
Well, Ashley, the hottest music trend at the moment involves an attack on America. In fact, you may even call it an invasion. This, of course, is not a hostile army storming our shores. No, instead, this is an army brandishing guitars and drumsticks. All the way from England. Yes, England. Several British rock and roll bands have been invading American radio stations and concert halls. This new wave of British rock and roll music all started with the popularization of the Beatles. Ever since they landed here in 1964, to hordes of screaming fans, we've been captivated. Their first #1 hit in America is I Want to Hold Your Hand, which they performed on the Ed Sullivan Show along with some of their other hits. Some of their other hits in 1964 include She Loves You, Can't Buy Me Love, Love Me Do, I Feel Fine, and A Hard Day's Night. Now, those are some rocking songs that everyone can dance to, am I right? Now, some other bands involved in this British movement include The Who, the Rolling Stones, and the Moody Blues. Now, these bands are a little less polished than the Beatles we know and love, and a bit more rebellious, but we love them just the same. It is predicted from my sources that these British rockers are here to stay. With love from me to you, back to you, Ashley.
Thank you, Nina, for that wonderful correspondence about the new music that's taking over the nation. Did any of you know that the term rock and roll was coined in Cleveland? Isn't that interesting? Now, we're going to turn to our special correspondent, Megan, who's reporting on Woodstock. I mean, did anyone know Charlie Brown was coming?
That's not exactly the Woodstock I was going for, but nice try. Parents, if you were wondering where your children were this weekend, I suggest you start the search in Bethel, New York. This weekend was the long-awaited concert Woodstock. 500,000 flower-powered children flocked to New York to watch and be involved in the music festivities and the wild nightlife. Our own music correspondent, Nina, has left to go join in the fun, to do a report, so she says. I'm happy to report to all worrying parents that only two injuries have been reported and both have been airlifted out. Information is still rolling in, so please check in at the 6 o'clock news for more information. Peace, love, and back to you.
The Cardinals knew that they needed to elect another pope as soon as possible. The Cardinals were basically locked up in their rooms. That way they wouldn't dally over their votes. One cardinal said that it was like being buried alive. It took 3 days, but the Cardinals finally came to a decision. At 7:15 p.m., after the white smoke cleared, Pope John Paul II appeared on the balcony at the Sistine Chapel. Now to tell us more about his election, let's go over to one of our correspondents who is with the Pope right now. Hello, I am here in the Sistine Chapel with Pope John Paul II. So, Father, how are you today?
I'm doing quite well today, Kira. How are you?
I'm amazing considering I am sitting next to the holiest man alive right now. But I must ask you, how do you feel now that you were chosen to be the next Pontifex Maximus?
I feel that with obedience and faith to Christ, I can really make a difference in spite of all the difficulties.
That is definitely very inspirational and very, very cool. So, why did you choose the name John Paul?
I really took the name in honor of my predecessor, John Paul the 23rd and Paul the 6th.
Very cool, very cool. Now, I must ask you, that car-type glass box thing that you drive around in, what is that?
It's the Pope-mobile.
And exactly why do you have that?
Well, back in 1981, I was driving around, making my rounds in Rome, and someone shot at me. So we needed something to protect the Pope that could be durable for years to come. It's a Pope-mobile.
Wow, well, you've definitely been through a lot. So, what do you feel are some of your strengths in being, the new leader of the Catholic Church?
I try to be a conservative person, but also have lots of a strong character and be open to change, because that's what we need in the Pope.
Very cool. Well, we all have the best confidence in you. Congratulations on your election, and we wish you luck in the future, and we wish you the best.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Hi, this is Libby Bauman reporting live. I've just returned from the streets of Rome and brought with me a very special guest from the Vatican City. Please welcome Pope Paul VI.
Hello, I'm Pope Paul. How are you today? You're very good.
I am very good. How are you?
Oh, I'm very good. You may address me as Mr. Pope.
All right, Mr. Pope.
No, you may address me as the Holy Father.
Well then, Holy Father, I have a question for you.
Oh, please, shoot away. I don't have anywhere to be. I'm not important or anything.
Oh, that's not true at all, of course. So you took over the Second Vatican Council for Pope John the 23rd.
Oh, yes.
How do you feel about that?
The poor soul. I feel very, very confident in the new directions that the church is taking. We have new goals to make the church relatable to the common person. We wanted to change the ritualismo and turn it into the communalismo. You have another question for me, I presume?
Yes, on that note, how do you feel about returning the language of the Mass in the vernacular instead of only Latin?
I think that the vernacular choice, it was a very controversial decision on my part. Many of my contemporaries did not want to do the vernacular change. But I told them that this is what is best for the future of the church. If we wanted the common man to go to Mass, if we wanted the common man to know the faith, we have to change it to the vernacular.
Well, I would quite agree.
Yes, thanks to you. You have another question for me?
What was your main goal of Vatican II?
Well, I was not the first Pope to call Vatican II, but taking over for John the 23rd, my main goal was, as I said, to rally support in favor of making the church relatable to the common man. Just like me. No, I'm not a common. Do you have another question for me, ma'am?
Nope, that is all today.
Oh.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you very much.
It was very kind of you to come in today.
Oh, yes, I know. It is very kind for me to stoop down to your people's level. Welcome back. Our next segment is one of a very solemn but important nature. It's entitled In Memoriam, a tribute to the life of our late President John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy, the 35th United States President, was a pioneer in domestic issues like civil rights, a dominant voice of anti-communism in a severely Cold War-stricken world, and also the country's first and only Roman Catholic president. Historically, this country has been governed by wealthy Protestant families, but with the Kennedys, especially JFK, the tides changed a bit. The idea of a Catholic president unnerved Americans because many thought that the president would be highly influenced by the Pope in all of his decisions. However, in a speech in 1960 when he was campaigning, JFK spoke to the Greater Houston Ministerial Association, a coalition of Protestant ministers. Though his life was filled with many trials, controversies, good times, bad times, JFK, his memory, his administration, will be remembered and noted by all for many generations to come. By religion a Catholic, by politics an American, both were certainly present in his administration. Thank you and good night.
Hello, America! This evening we have a special interview with a very important guest.
That's right, Libby. Today in our very own Channel 6500 News Studios, we have a very exclusive interview with the Pontifex Maximus, the Bishop of Rome, the head cardinal himself, Pope Paul VI. Hello, I'm Pope Paul.